Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas, and our ongoing study on Paul and the Faithfulness of God by N.T. Wright, published by Fortress Press in 2013. We're going to look at the recall triad now for the lesson we just finished from pages 301 to 321. We're going to look at the Roman narrative myth and how it contributed to the emergence of the imperial cult. But up front, we need to take Professor Wright's warning that you cannot and we should not reduce the imperial cult to a singularity in a very simplistic way. It had very diverse expressions, says Professor Wright. The various provinces expressed the imperial cult in different ways. So even though it became greatly divine through a singularity of positings concerning Augustus, its concrete form was a plurality. Let's take a look at Block 1, and we'll take a look at how this Roman narrative myth evolved toward imperial cult. Rome's history became a written eschatology of renewal. Paterculus wrote a history of reverence toward Augustus, and citizenship for him was a citizenship that has always sought to do the right. Livy wrote a history of Roman evolution toward renewal, which for him peaked in Augustus, and he did posit an ethical citizenship of movement toward new fruition and new birth. Now this historical narrative was imprinted by epic poetry. So Block 2, Rome's epic poetry as narrative lyrical myth, was imprinted over history. Ovid wrote the Metamorphoses as a singular narrative of Rome from creation all the way up to his present day. And his story of Aeneid, which was Rome's Abraham, did posit an Augustan teleology. Now Virgil wrote the Eclogue, a poem of promise of a coming Messiah and a rebirth of all creation. And next came his Georgics that celebrated rural life, spoke of a temple for the indwelling of the great Caesar, and he also wrote of an eschaton reaching the goal of Olympus and glory, the glories of Olympus. His Aeneid statue would be placed in this temple. And Virgil presented this to Augustus, and so it was a very popular epic, and it was distributed widely throughout the provinces, and it made its way all the way to Alexandria. It made its way all the way to Tarsus. The Aeneid by Virgil truly reached wide distribution, and Paul would have confronted and understood this mythical narrative, which he would, of course, trump with Israel's true narrative of the one true God, but he would be aware of this Roman narrative, mythological narrative. And then it led to Block 3, Rome's imperial cult. You had this imprint of epic poetry over history, leading to the imperial cult, which was a reinterpretation and a rewriting of divine signs. The emperor often took the position of Pontifex Maximus, or high priest. The goddess Roma was already being worshipped in the provinces. Zeus was rewritten as Jupiter, and the emperor was Jupiter's substitute on earth. The imperial cult was present in a plurality of forms throughout the provinces. Each province had its own concrete expression of the imperial cult, but arrogance and pride again played a significant role, and Domitian exemplifies this because he demanded to be called Lord and God. You have history as a narrative being imprinted by poetry as a lyrical myth, both being added together and interrelated to form the fuel for an imperial cult. But the imperial cult was not a simplistic singularity of expression. It had various expressions in the varying differing provinces, and a governor would certainly want to please the emperor because it would come back as a great benefit in a very precarious position as a governor to an emperor. So there were various concrete expressions of the imperial cult, but they all reflected Roman history imprinted by lyrical, epic poetry, resulting in a narrative that took up the emperor as the substitute of Jupiter on Earth. That's going to wrap up this recall triad for pages 301 to 321.